You are now locked in to the Sitting Down with the Sisters podcast.
Is only one.
There's only one.
And there's only one.
His name is the King, and we the kid.
Hello, everyone.
Hi guys.
Welcome back to the Sitting Down with the Sisters podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Ayo.
I'm Temi.
And I'm Ashley, the kid of the kid.
We the kids.
We the kid.
Backstreet Kids. Sitting down with the sisters and the kids.
It's the remixes for me. Sorry, guys. It's the remixes for me.
Temi is tired.
Wow.
We are so happy to be back.
What a way
Honestly,
to
we
start.
really are.
Thank you for all the positive reception to our, new season. We are so grateful for every single one of you.
No, for real.
One thing about it, I don't know why, but I never expect it. Like, it just comes.
Yeah, no, you guys.
It's overwhelming.
It just happens,
sometimes.
and I'm just like, oh, I'm so grateful. Like, it's always a shock to me.
The
But
fact that you guys
thank
were,
you so much.
you were looking forward to us coming.
Yeah. You know, someone, one of my friends messaged me on Snapchat, because I'd promoted like the first episode of the new season. She was literally like, wow, like you guys are back. Like, I hope you know I'm a serious fan. I love you guys.
Thank you.
When she said that, I thought,
Like,
you
people are actually
that's
watching.
The kid. I'm just a kid.
It's too much. It's too much.
No, honestly, it's much
Oh,
appreciated.
really just the
Nah,
kid,
for
but
real.
We're so grateful, guys.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
We're back again. Follow us on all our social media platforms.
Correct.
That's SDWTS podcast. And we're just going to go right in. I think Ashley is going to anchor this episode
I'll
today.
do it. So the reason why I thought about this specific topic is because I don't know if you guys have seen on social media. So Drake has released a new song, and I don't know the exact.
SZA?
Yeah, I don't know the exact title of the song, but I know it has slime in it.
Okay.
Yeah, for the slime or for you, like
Something
slime you out.
That's it.
Slime you out.
And I haven't listened to it either. And the picture.
I haven't even heard.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. just to give context.
That's fine. That's why I'm
I
giving
heard
this breakdown.
it,
So
yeah.
for people at home as well.
Okay.
And the picture that he's used,
Right.
his cover for this song,
The cover art.
the cover art is of Halle Berry. And she's covered in slime. So I think maybe when she went on to Nickelodeon.
Back in those days, you know, when
yeah,
they would
when
do
they used to
like
do the
the
slime. Remember?
yes.
So it's a picture of her.
Yes.
So it had come out, and then I think initially she had come out and commented that, why did he use this picture? And then, people are coming back like, oh, it's not that deep, it's not that serious. And then lo and behold, like a couple of days later, I think it was yesterday or the day before, she actually responded to someone under like her Instagram picture. And she basically responded saying Drake had reached out to her for permission. Her team had reached out to Halle Berry's team to ask for permission to use the picture.
Right.
She said no. So her team have gone back to Drake's team to let them know, no, the picture cannot be used. He's gone ahead and used the picture.
Right.
So come to find out now, people have found this out. And people in the comments saying, it's not that deep, it's not that serious. Like, this is who Drake is. You know who, like, the type of person Drake is. That you shouldn't really be surprised. He says this in his songs, that he doesn't need to ask permission because of who he is. Some people were going as far as saying, Halle Berry isn't relevant, so why does she care? First of all, Halle Berry is no
very
one's mate,
relevant.
Okay, so
That's the mama.
I don't even need to. She's the big mummy of this
Reels.
I don't even need to address that. I'm not going to even dignify a response to that
all of you.
because that is
So
very
Halle Berry's
disrespectful.
relevant. You know, this generation is so disrespectful.
rude.
How dare you say Halle
If
Berry's
it's not
irrelevant?
City Girls, if it's not Sexy Red, if it's not Ice Spice, they're not relevant.
Oh.
But that's a whole
Guys,
other
sorry, what?
conversation. Is your
Aish.
So to round it up, so he's asked for permission to use it. He did not get the permission.
Right.
He still went ahead and used it.
Okay.
So the reason why I even brought this up is it brings on the topic of consent.
Right.
And you touched on something really, really good. You can bring it.
No,
Thank you so much. Chairman, Subbox Studio, thank you.
The best podcast. what do you call them? Podcast host.
Host.
No, we're the host.
No, podcast.
It's okay.
That
anyway.
No, it's okay. And you brought up a really good point before we started recording this. And you said a lot of people think consent only happens like in sexual relations. And I think consent is across the board in friendships, in relationships, in a workplace as well.
This is making me think
what do you guys think
of so many things?
Yeah.
That's crazy, you know.
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot to unpack, and thank you for bringing this topic to
table.
light.
You're welcome.
Like you said, a lot of people just only see it in sort of a sexual setting. They don't see it outside of that.
Yeah.
And sorry, let's go back to Drake, because y'all know I like Drake, and it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard because Drake, what are you doing? Like, do you get what I mean?
What's going on?
It's just, okay, for starters, why did you request consent? Was it just to look good? Was it in hopes that she would say yes? Which is fair enough, but she didn't agree to it. So I don't understand why the consent was even asked in the first place when your intention wasn't there to get consent.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
it's not really. And I don't want to say I'm finding it hard to believe, because sometimes what we see on the internet isn't the case. But again, we got the confirmation from Halle Berry
come out and she
herself.
said it, yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, it's just unfortunate, that situation.
I feel like we should start as well with like, what is consent, one, and then two, why is it important? Because like it's just so bizarre to me that you will do what you know you should do. You didn't get the answer you wanted, and then you still went ahead and do. So what is consent? Consent is essentially the permission to do something. That's what consent is. And then if you're talking about consent in a human to human relationship, is the permission, and that doesn't always necessarily mean it's verbal, because people talk about, if you talk about relationships, like, it's not every time your boyfriend kisses you that he has to ask you, can I kiss you? But there's a perceived notion that there is an agreement on both ends that this thing can go on, right? So that is what everybody's aware of what consent is. Cool.
Right. Absolutely.
Why is consent important? Consent is important because
it's crazy. No, it's crazy that we have to break it down because a lot of people are not comprehending. And the thing is, they're picking and choosing when consent or when it should. Because these same people that are telling Halle Berry to get over it, when it comes to other types of consent, they're in the front line.
Angry. They're
advocates.
fighting.
They're protesting.
Yes.
So it's like, when is consent acceptable to you, and when it's
exactly.
That's why it's good to break.
So that's why I just think it's important we talk about. And so the reason the reason consent is important to me is because usually in any scenario there's a person that is going to be a beneficiary of the thing, and then there's a person who's a person in power, in quotes, and not in power, but like has a motive or has something they want to get out of a situation. And what consent, the reason it's important is you have an understanding that both parties are happy with what is about to take place. And the reason it's important is so that you actually know you're not violating, manipulating or abusing a person, regardless of the scenario. It could be anything. It could be parent to child. It could be anything. You need to know that in that dynamic, in that scenario, both parties are happy with what is about to go on.
Right.
An example that we can actually use that relates to our podcast, there was a viral clip of us, we've had two viral clips of us now that have been repurposed on other people's pages. Nobody asked us whether you could use them, and the issue with that is we don't want to appear on pages that do not align with our brand, and they do not align with the ethics or whatever that we have. And so that is why it's important in that scenario. You're the person who's trying to leech off of something you've seen has done well,
gone viral,
views,
and you're
benefiting from it.
Off that.
Exactly. And in those situations, the reason why consent is important is because we own the content. It's of us. Do you understand? And so if you want to use it, the right thing to do would be to ask. And if we say yes, then cool. And if we don't say yes, then you leave it alone.
And I've noticed there's a notion that goes around when it comes to this viral and posting people without their consent. So they do this thing where they'll post a video without your consent, as they've done with us, and somewhere in their bio or just below the caption, or it's just hidden somewhere where it's like, DM for removal or something like that. Again,
Of course it's hidden.
Again, we can't class that as consent because you've already put up the post. A lot of the time, we might not even be aware that you've posted it, so you're still benefiting.
It's people that
from,
send it
from
to
the
us.
minute you've posted it. The whole world can see it. We might not even know till like a few days later, a few months later, and you've already received the benefit that you wanted from it before we then approach you and tell you to take it down if you don't want it up there. So the point I'm trying to make is the whole point of consent is before you even decide to do what you want to do, you ask.
Yes.
There
Before
needs to
you
be
go
an
ahead,
agreement.
there needs to be an agreement in place. I don't know if I want to call it a psychological agreement, because sometimes it has to be physical, sometimes it has to be verbal.
Yeah.
You know. So
I think that's such a great example though, because in this day and age of social media, I genuinely believe social media has blurred the notion of consent.
Yeah.
1 million%.
Especially nowadays, that there's a lot of different blog pages. Some of them are not even licensed. Let's be very honest.
Which ones are licensed now? Even
if we
to
start
begin?
calling and picking and choosing, we'll be here till tomorrow.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's almost like it's expected. If you post something on
And
the
it goes,
internet,
yeah.
a lot of people could argue, well, if you've posted it on the internet, you should
Anyone
accept the
has
fact that
access
it's
to-
out there and you have access. But that's not the point. The point is, if there's certain things that we're saying, if we're talking about personal experiences, we still have ownership over our voices and over what we post.
Yeah.
So for you to take that and now put that on your page in the name of, well, it's on the internet, so I'm just doing what everyone else is doing and I'm posting it there. If you're not careful, you could actually be liable to damages.
No, like, honestly, jokes aside, if someone decides they want to take it further, I'm
If you're not careful, damages.
I don't even know if
You can be prosecuted for that.
you know you can't be prosecuted for that.
Yes.
You know, there's certain, I don't know if you guys have felt this before, but there's been like certain videos that we've even done that I'm so worried. Like,
We always, what's so mad? We
guys,
always
I
joke
don't-
about this.
I don't want it to go on certain pages. Like, let's be careful, because you just
We
again
always
it's
joke
because,
about it.
do you know
Anything can happen.
Again, and the problem is, again, consent. If consent was involved, honestly, I wouldn't mind, because I have that choice to agree to it or not.
And also, I feel like I've been respected in this
Yeah.
dynamic.
Right,
Where you
yes.
haven't even asked me. Sorry, I need to use a personal example, right? There was a video of me where I was talking about a situationship that I was in, yeah? And someone now went to go and repurpose this video and put my face next to the word sex. Like, now, the issue I have with
I'll
that
never
is,
forget this.
one,
Wow.
that
We're laughing, but it wasn't
it's
funny
like,
at the time.
yeah, this is, sorry, if you know me in my personal life, this is just not making sense.
It really caught you off guard.
And the thing is, what you were speaking about had
nothing to do with it. There was an
Nothing
assumption
whatsoever.
We
There was an
wondered where it came
assumption
from.
that because of what I was saying in the video, that the man that I was referring
yeah.
to only wanted to have sex with me, but you don't know the situation.
Again, it's the clickbait.
You're
It's
rude.
for your benefit. It's just so people can click on it and find it intriguing. You know, I know, we all knew it wasn't about sex, but you thought you'd put it in bold, sex, because you knew that would be captivating and,
And they
people
took
would
a
click on
particular
that.
clip as well where it would seem like it
that's
was
what-
about
and then-
it. And then you posted
all
that.
of this without consent.
without consent, and somebody has sent it to me now that they've seen it there. Now the issue I have with that, like, as much as we're laughing, the issue I have with that is like, okay, I have a life, like, outside of, obviously we're not even, like, this is not to act like anything crazy, but the internet is accessible to everybody.
Right.
We all have lives that we live,
Right.
and there's certain morals, values, ethics, and there's people in our lives that can be affected by things that they see on the internet.
Right.
I do not want my face and likeness to be shown in a place that I haven't consented it to be shown. The reason that we post on our page is because this is our page and we know what we are posting on our page. I don't have a clue what you post on your page. And so I don't know why I am on your page. Do you understand? And I feel like we live in a generation of, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. Do you understand? It's like,
That's what I was basically referring to when I spoke about the whole ask for removal. For
Yeah,
after,
yeah,
because you've already done the damage.
You've done it.
So you can, if you want,
They're
me to take
covering
it, that-
themselves. That's
right.
only them putting the DM for removal. That's them covering their ass.
yeah.
And
Like-
guys, sorry, I don't know if this is far-fetched, but I
No,
just
go.
remember another example, and I would like to believe consent has a part to play in this as well. Tell me what you think. So, guys, I don't know why I remember this, but results day 2015, yeah. There was certain guys, honestly, like
Nah,
you know when you
let's
go,
not
you know when
even.
you go to get your results, or just in school in general,
completely forgot
and then
about this.
we have photographers that come around taking pictures of people collecting their results, opening it, and just their reaction, the way they react to their results.
And
right?
can I just add really quickly, sorry, those photographers were thinking that it's to put on the school website. Because
Right.
you know, sometimes when you go on your school website, you'll see like the
even-
accolades, the accomplishments,
Guys,
all of those things.
Even that, I'm trying to think, because that one's a thin line, because I know, you know, before you start school in year 7
You
or
sign
you sign a contract, and I think I've seen it in one of those contracts that does say
might use pictures.
might use pictures, and you've signed for that. That's absolutely fine. But when you've now got certain photographers that do not align with those contracts or aren't a part of the academy or the school you've been to, and they've taken certain pictures of you, and it's found itself on other places.
No, you lot are not ready. You're not ready for this story.
It's like little things like that. But I remember it happening.
I need to give the breakdown.
Give them Ashley. Tema forgot about this story.
So we've gone to results day.
2015.
We've opened our results. Specifically, I've opened my result. I have seen my results with me.
I'm holding mine as she's opening hers.
We're happy.
We're excited.
Now we've gone home. Why is it I was messaging me, Ashley, do you know that we're on Channel 4? I don't know if it was Channel 4 or ITV.
We have the screenshot.
I said,
to this day.
Do you know I've looked at my dad? My dad's like, Ashley, what's wrong? I said, I'm on the news.
And we were on.
I said, I'm on the 6 o'clock news.
Without consent,
we've gone to the channel now.
Broadcasting news.
We're waiting for it to come on.
One of the biggest channels in the
UK.
On national television.
We've gone to it on the TV, yeah. Tell me why we see it. It's come back in rotation. And we see the picture, me with my results paper.
And we're there smiling like this.
Happy.
I will never forget that.
I thought, I'm sorry. I think the first thing I even said to you was like, are we going to get paid for this? Because you've used my picture.
Do you know,
you've used my face.
I'm so happy you remembered that, because
that's a prime example of it.
To this day, me and Ashley had no clue how that picture ended up on Channel 4.
Imagine you're living your life in a certain way and you don't want... Of course, you can.
What if I was wanted?
We're all entitled to a private life.
Yes,
everyone's entitled to a private life. So things like that is just it's just not right. I don't think it's right. At least ask. What does it take to ask? They could have said yes.
Do you know that day though? I actually remember that photographer. I remember because they were like, "Oh, can you like?" Do you remember they spoke to us?
Yeah.
They're like, "Can you?" But then I'm thinking, you didn't tell me where you came from. The thing about it is, we love a good time. We didn't know what the hell was going on. And then we find out that we're on Channel 4. The maddest part to me, to make it serious, is that you don't know if any of these children are vulnerable. Right. You don't have a clue.
And under 18 at the time.
We were children.
And I know I joked about being on the wanted list, but you don't know, people could have had issues with immigration.
You don't have a clue.
And then you put them on the news. And because you're a big
my parents had no clue that their child was going to be on the news.
I was going to talk about parental consent, because that's another thing as well. Because we were under 18 at the time, we just turned us around that age,
turned 18.
Or the photographer did not know your age.
Well, you know you're at a results day.
So how old
can I be?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
No, whether they were 18 or just under, there was that thin line between them.
I guess, because some people would have, but even still,
it doesn't
actually,
matter.
no, they wouldn't, because we do our result day in August, and anybody that's turning 18 would have turned it in September, from September onwards.
Yeah, but
unless you're repeating a year or something.
There was still a few days to turn 18.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
either way,
like it's
and
crazy.
That's why I loved what you said earlier, is that nowadays people are okay more so doing something and then dealing with the repercussions and saying the apology rather than actually asking for, like, humbling yourself and asking for consent, because we all know how this to go back to Drake and the Halle Berry situation, we all know how this is going to play out. He'll probably come back with a statement like, "Oh, I'm sorry," or he'll ignore it, or he'll come back on some flexing like we don't, but he'll come back or like probably make a statement or something of that nature.
And again, the way people will react to it will most likely be like, "Oh, he apologized.
It's fine. Get over
again,
it."
Those are the same people when it comes to sexual consent that will be in the front line screaming about that.
Right.
So it's like, when do you pick and choose? Actually, you also made another point before we started the podcast about just, I think it was to do with alcohol, and if we're changing the not slightly changing the topic a little bit, where we've now, let's say we've asked for consent or whatever, and now there's now a thin line between not accepting the consent and now trying to persuade someone to do certain things because that's what you want them to do, or maybe you can benefit from it. So you've asked for consent, the person might have said no, whatever, and you're like, "Oh, but why?" Or making them feel guilty for the responses that they've given. So there's also that flip side, but yeah, go on.
In that specific case, before we even got up, my question to you guys was going to be, what does consent look like to you in friendship?
Right, that's a good one.
For me, it's like accepting me as I am. You're not trying to change me. Like, so if I don't like something, I don't like it. Like, if you're my friend, you should accept that.
And
like,
you should respect
and you should
it.
yes, on top of you should accept it, but you should also respect it, and you should never ever put me in a compromising position to ever go against that thing that I have set within myself. And I think it's very important in friendship, because you see it happen, especially when girls are, sorry, I know my long answer, when girls are younger,
right.
and people just be dragging you to anywhere, and then you don't, your parents don't even have a clue where you are. You finish school at 3 o'clock. Some of your friend, they took you to Brixton. Your school was like, no, and you didn't even know what you were going there to do. You know when you hear the stories of what young girls were doing when they're in school, you didn't have a clue where your friend was even taking you to go, and then you've ended up now in a situation that you don't know what to do, and then because of peer pressure and all these kinds of things, you end up doing things all because consent and all of those things just wasn't like respecting a person's boundary, respecting a person's innocence, respecting anything. It just wasn't a thing. So yeah, for me, it's accepting it and respecting my choices.
You know what? So with me, I feel like with friendship, it's such a blurry.
Yeah, and that's why I asked.
The reason why.
No, today has just actually been hilarious.
Look at me, I'm like, whoa.
Right. This is great. Keep going, Tim.
Okay.
What is going on today?
With friendships.
Sorry, go on.
With friendships, it's a bit of a blurry line, and I had to think about this one because, especially with really close friends, there's that familiarity.
Yes.
So it can be difficult to blur when consent is required or not. And you know what? As much as I want there to, of course, there has to be familiarity in the friendship. Sometimes, you know your friends so well in and out that you just feel like sometimes you don't necessarily have to ask certain questions or, do certain things. But my thing is, in friendships, I think it's necessary to just check in, to make sure that what they were like a year ago is still what they like today. If they've become a new person, or they've just changed their morals, or they just believe in something else than they did the year before. It's very easy to say, for example, like Ashley likes, I don't know, whatever Ashley used to like 2 years ago, so I don't need to ask her consent because I can just do this on her behalf because I think she'll love it. And again, that's fine because I'm familiar with her and that's my girl. I can, do that. I have sort of that leeway in comparison to a stranger to do that with Ashley. But then it's just checking in. It's just like, oh, Ashley, like, by the way, is this okay? You were okay with this last year. You were okay with this 6 months ago. You were okay with this 3 months ago. You were even okay with it 2 weeks ago. And sorry, I don't mean to be annoying, but is it still okay? Like, I have to ask.
I've got a good example of that. Once you
but
say
yeah,
your
that's
answer.
I think I don't even have a long answer because you guys summed it up perfectly. I think the only thing I would add for me is consent is this girl. I can't.
Sorry.
Consent to me in friendship is protecting my boundaries,
right?
Not trying to like bend them to your favor or to your convenience, but actually hearing my boundaries once I've said them to you and being like, okay, let's keep them there. Because I think nowadays is you tell someone your boundaries and they hear it and then they're like, in their head it's almost like, okay, how can I get that person to change their boundaries? How can I get them to just to go back to what you said, the example, for example, I don't drink. So when I'm out in that setting, if I ever am out in that setting, people will then be like, oh, do you want a drink? Oh, just one. No, I said no. No is no. It's not for you to now say, oh, just one, just two.
No.
Oh, how about this? This doesn't have a lot of alcohol. I don't care if it has 0.5% alcohol. I don't want to drink. Like, so you actually need to listen to my no, respect my no, hear it. And it's not for you to go back and forth with me about my boundaries. My boundaries are my boundaries. You don't need to tell me about my boundaries.
That is so... Because I can relate to that as well. And if listen, one thing about me, if I don't like something, I will never come back. Okay? Facts. I'm just not gonna, because for me, I feel like people don't understand that is a violation of a person's boundary. And I think because it's so normalized, it's just the social nature of drinking. It's like, oh no, but like everybody's doing it, like do it. And it's like, oh, it's your birthday, do it.
You need to have this.
I don't.
Just once.
And it's like, okay, do you know why I think people struggle with that? And I don't think people do it intentionally. I do think a lot of because I've been in those situations and I know the people around me did. It's not malicious, do you get? But at the same time, I just think it's because people are not used to people affirming their own boundaries. People are also not used to affirming their own boundaries. Like me as Ayo, like I have boundaries, but I'm not used to like saying, you know what, this is actually something I really like.
I stand strong on
like
this,
you
this is what I
don't.
wanna
Sometimes
do.
we're not brought up to really like stand 10 toes down on our boundaries. Like we are brought up in a lot of cultures as well, where your boundary is very like wishy-washy when it depends on who's around and who's talking to you. Because something, say for instance, a certain type of disrespect I wouldn't take from my friends. In my culture, maybe if an adult speaks to me like that, I'm supposed to just take it on the chin. Then your boundary now is starting
So
to look
shifting.
shifty because you don't.
And also, if you do stand solid on your boundaries, society's made it to seem like you're hard-headed,
Yes.
or you're stubborn,
You're doing
or you're
too much.
boring,
It's not
or you're a
easy.
snob,
Yeah.
or you're this one,
Or
that
you're
one.
All of those
Exactly.
things.
And the other example I wanted to refer to, so I've got one of my really, really sweet friends, she's pregnant and she's giving birth this month, by God's grace.
Hallelujah.
And I don't know why I'm crossing my fingers, it's God that I believe in. And and so I went to visit her, and so obviously we took pictures and stuff, and like obviously she wouldn't have cared if I posted a picture of me and her on my story of her pregnant. But I think pregnancy is a sensitive thing. I also think it's a very personal thing.
Sacred.
And even though she's posted it on her own page, I still felt it was right for me to ask her, do you mind if I post this on my story? Because at the end of the day, that's her and her baby, that's her and her own life. Me putting that on my story is now coming to a bigger audience.
Yes, you're bringing it to
I'm
a
bringing it to a
separate audience.
different
The followers
audience.
she has and the followers
are
you
different
have,
groups
two
of
completely
people.
different- You might be posting on the same social media platform,
But it's
two
different audiences. Exactly. And I just wanted her to feel comfortable. And when I asked her, she was like, don't be silly. Of course you can. But obviously,
fine,
and that's
but
fine.
she
But like,
shouldn't.
I wanted to let her know that I respect the fact, like, pregnancy is a big deal to me.
It's sacred.
Jeremy, you're carrying life in your belly, in your womb. It's very personal. It's intimate. So for me to put it on my story, obviously I want to like share that I saw her. But if she said no,
Then that's it.
And
Cool.
that's it.
And
So
this-
imagine now in that instance, if she'd said no and you went ahead and posted it.
That's what Drake did.
that is grounds to cut any friend off.
That's
I'm
what Drake- that's
so
what Drake did.
I
sorry.
agree.
That's what Drake did.
And I think
what I was,
people are not understanding that because they're seeing it in the light of, oh, they're celebrity, so it's got nothing to do with me. But it's only until you personalize it, which is unfortunate, because we should have empathy and grace for people in those situations, regardless of how much money
their
they make,
status.
or the fact that their pictures are out there on Google for people to use, whatever. If that was you in that position, and that example that you gave, that you asked your friend if you could post that picture of her pregnant, she said no. Imagine if you'd gone ahead and posted that. That's a complete violation, of someone's privacy, their boundaries, the whole lot.
And
Go on.
So,
Tony.
sorry, I was going to say quickly, this has me thinking of that example that you gave has me thinking of just, again, back to friendships. And let's talk about posting pictures online of our friends or with our friends on their birthdays or just in general, just posting pictures of our friends in general.
Yeah.
My question is basically, should we always then ask for consent before posting our friends on our social media platforms? Or if there's a picture we've both taken and maybe we've both verbally agreed that we like it, and maybe there was no talks of posting it online, but we both agreed it was a nice picture, we both like it, and I want to post it online, is it then needed to then go back to the friend to ask for consent before then posting it online? Like, what do you think the rules are around just posting pictures of your friends online?
I think it's honestly,
Especially like birthday pictures, you know how they always do the whole trying to embarrass your friend or putting that. What do we think of those?
I think it's common sense, really and truly. No, and I know it might sound silly or harsh, but the reason why I say it's common sense is because if you know, on the flip side, you wouldn't want that sort of picture posted of you on your birthday, why the hell would you then find yourself posting that picture of someone else?
It's very much
It's
common
not
sense.
it's not necessarily a thing of you constantly have to ask them every single time.
Yeah.
But you use this.
Yes.
You use it and you use it well. You think, is this something? We all know our friends.
Yeah.
We all know, like, for example, insecurities that
reading
the
my
person
mind.
might have, or things that they might not be as confident about. So say, for example, if I have a picture of someone and they're slouched and their insecurity is their stomach, why the hell would I post that picture on my social media, tag them, and then be confused as to why they're upset?
Facts. Mate,
Why?
even just to add on to everything you've said, like, I've even changed when it comes to birthdays, the type of post I do on my stories as well, because it's not everybody that can post on my story anymore in general. Anyway, that's one. And two, like, similar to what Ashley said, you know your friends.
Yes.
Like, you know what makes them feel pretty and you know what they would want out there of them, right? this even makes me think of something else. I'll talk about it after. But like, yeah, you should be just be wise and be careful. Don't be a silly Billy. That's really it. Like, you know that the picture, especially what happens a lot of the time is people are selfish. So they know that this could benefit them. Or they know that this, for instance, is a picture of multiple. So they know they look good in a picture. And they're like, no, you look nice. But it's because they've only looked at themselves in that picture. It's selfishness. So then now you're like, oh yeah, doesn't matter. But this is a birthday thing. So why does it have anything to do with you?
But honestly, like, my thing is just, if you're unsure, just ask.
If you're unsure, just ask. Also, use wisdom. For me, when these two have beautiful like pictures and stuff they put on their own stories, like I'm the type to say, send me that now. Send it to me. I know that they like it. They've posted it themselves. I can post it. They like it. Use wisdom.
Use it. I love what you said. Be wise and be careful.
Don't be silly.
Do you know what it makes me think of? When we had our photo shoot.
Yes.
And we got our pictures back.
That's a prime example of it. Because there'll be pictures that we all like or we don't like.
And we were in the group chat and I think if someone had a camera and they were in that group chat, they would really be looking at it like, wow, these lot are serious.
No,
because
serious.
It literally took us, I think it took over like the space of 2 days, the span of 2 days, where we were like, okay, does everyone like this picture, how they look? If one person didn't like it, you don't use it.
Yeah. And like there's always usually people in your friendship group that might not care as much, and that's fine.
And
but you should still ask.
Again.
You should still ask. Even one thing that even comes to my mind, we went out to do our speaking engagement, and there's a video of Tem that I really want to post. She doesn't want me to post it. And I've accepted that she doesn't want me to post it, so I haven't posted it, but it's so funny. But we'll keep it to ourselves. Do you get it? Because you have to respect people's, but like, jokes aside, you have to respect people's boundary. Like, even with our TikToks and stuff like that, like, there's easily content that we could conjure up and like put out there that could make us go mega viral, or it could be a meme, really have us out there like mad people. You have to have wisdom and discernment when you use the internet in general, because whatever you put out there can be used for God knows what. And that just takes it all the way back to why content is so important.
Once you've clicked post, that's it. Regardless of whether you delete it 15 seconds after, you did not know where that picture's gone or where that video's gone. So I think it's just taking the extra grace and taking that extra patience, and it's something I'm actually learning as well, because with my events and my events page, there will be times, and it has happened before a few times, where, you know, someone might not like a certain picture, or they might not like something being posted on there of them. So it's just taking, like, in the moment you can get carried away, but it's just taking that grace to double check or to think about it twice, or just looking for another picture, an alternative or something. Do you know what I mean? But
and if someone does point it out, be gracious, humble and accepting enough to see where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
Because regardless of how you feel, it's them in the picture.
Yeah. And don't be like, oh no, but you look so good.
No.
I told you. I've already told you I don't like it.
You look like the kid of the kid.
No, because I don't like it. I don't like how you're doing. No, because for real, like, I think people need to be affirmed in the fact that you have permission to choose how your likeness is used on the internet.
Yes.
You literally have whatever you want for yourself. You're allowed to exercise that and say, this is what I want. I don't want you to cross this boundary, and feel emboldened to tell people those things, because people will push. You know, when they say you give people an inch, they will take a mile. Yeah. If you don't affirm and stand 10 toes down on your boundary today, is tomorrow they'll be using your boundary as skipping rope.
They'll rubbish you.
That's it.
On these streets.
Nah, for real.
So that's really it. You have control over how people treat you.
It's
you know?
Advert.
No, for real, you do. Content is very important. Consent is beautiful.
That perfectly summed it up.
Yeah, that was a very good one.
Let us know what you guys think down below. Like, even give us your opinion on the Halle Berry and Drake situation. Whether you think it's not that deep, it's not that serious, whatever your opinion is, put it down below. But, you know, keep it nice, keep it respectful. Don't be silly.
Don't be silly. Don't be a boy.
Bad.
Oh, R.I.P. Mobad, for real. That was sad.
We'll see you on the next episode, guys.
See you next
time.
Guys. Bye. I didn't even say.
Like,
why are you nervous?
Oh my God, why are you shaking?
She's nervous.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, Heavenly Father, we thank you for today.
Thank you, Lord.
I'm hot. Let me put on the AC. No, we're already recording. So.
Bye. Hello, everybody. Okay, yeah?
Dallas, you okay?
How is the kid? Is everybody okay? Is the kid okay? How's the kid doing?
Always kidding.
The kid is the kid of the king. At the end of the season, everything, you are the kid.
You the kid.
You the kid of the king.
The kid for the king in the kid.
Benga, you the kid.
Yeah. No, not the kid. The kid.